What's up, y'all? I've been absolutely loving having these amber lights for the trails at night. Super easy on the eyes, super bright. I also installed these whip lights. I love the way the whip lights look on there. They've been a lot of fun. Great for lighting up the campsite as well. Then the LED pod lights, I went with the combos. So it's spotlight and floodlight. The performance is absolutely unbelievable. So starting off here, what I used for the mounting brackets was metal mending plates, and I had to drill out the slots a little bit more to accommodate the bases of the whip lights. And of course, I had to paint it with that beautiful bronze gold, baby. So I'm making sure that I have this pulled all the way out because I want my whip lights to sit as far out as possible. Something I did pick up for these whip lights, they come with these quick disconnect mounts that go directly to the factory mounts that they send you, but I picked up these springs so that it has some give. I drive through a lot of tight trails with low-hanging branches, so now when this hits something, it can have some give and go back. My CB antennas that I had mounted here got completely destroyed because they didn't have any give to them. So after everything was all mounted, it was time to run all the wiring. The wiring for the LED pod lights was super simple. Everything was already there. That was just plug and play. For the whip lights, it was a little more extensive, but not by much. I did just have to pick up some more wiring, and I connected that to all the pigtails that they had on there. I just used heat shrink connectors for everything. So both the LED pod light and the whip lights connect into the blinker. So I spliced the LED pod light wiring for the blinker into the blinker wiring for the truck. And then I spliced the whip light blinker wiring into the wiring for the LED pod light. So when I had first begun this process, the biggest hurdle seemed to be splicing into the factory blinker wiring. But I ended up coming across these super easy to work with connectors that you put the one continuous wire through the one side, and then you put the wire that you're using to splice into that wiring on the other, and then you just clamp down this metal piece in the middle that only goes through the coating on the outside of the wire, only to make the connection, but not to cut all the way through. So what I have left that I have to do is run wiring from the battery into the cab to the switch, and then from the switch I need to run the wiring to the brick for the whip lights, and then I just need to run the wiring to the passenger side blinker, and we're all set, baby. So we're sending this wiring through that grommet again. Which is right where that is running. And there's where it came out on the other side. Grab that, pull her on through. We're just gonna have to come to the battery. This is our ground wire. Then on the top of the switch is our ground wire. It's gonna be this bad boy. Move their connector. Strip this bad boy. Up next we have to the battery. Gonna be this bad boy right here. And last we have power out going to our whip light module. All right, all the connections are made on the switch. Time to button up the engine bay. There's where we put the ground right there. Then we have our left and right for the whip lights. The left is the driver's side, right passenger. The only clips I didn't grab was hooking up the positive and negative wiring to the positive and negative terminals on the battery. Mounted my ground wire right here off of the module. Once everything was all connected and I confirmed everything was working properly, all that had to be done was just zip tying everything up, making everything all nice and neat. The light output is incredible on these. I love all the adjustability and all the different options you have for the whip lights. The way that I did it, the turn signals only turn on if the whip lights themselves are on because I didn't want those going off all the time. The links for the Auxbeam LED pod lights and whip lights are in the description, as well as the connectors that I used. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed.